Let's take a stroll down memory lane. Back in Calculus 3, we were given reading assignments. The overarching goal was to get through these assignments as quick as possible and extract quiz-worthy ideas from these oftentimes 66 pages or longer booklets. Luckily for us, though, we had our dear friend Professor Dawson to help us out. He took the courtesy of crossing out all the sections we didn't need to read, highlighted in red, reducing the number of readings and therefore making our lives just a tiny bit easier. Similar to the reading assignments, Google Maps has an abundance of information for ECE students who have minimal time to spare and look to do tasks quickly. Do I need to know where the nearest car wash is? No. And so without Professor Dawson to help us filter out this information, ECE students lack a map catered just for their needs. Our focus is to keep navigation simple for you to get from point A to point B, mirroring the name of our map. O, meaning to thee, with thee, from thee. Our team 44 consists of myself, Mai, Andrew, and Angie. O aims to be simple and practical for ECE student life. Our team is crafting O with a focus on color, zoom level, and key points of interest for simplicity and practicality of use for ECE students. Moving on, Angie will discuss the choice of color in our map to help achieve our goal.
Maps use visual elements to convey information. Therefore, color choice plays a big role in making the map effective and user-friendly for our targeted user group, ECE students. Looking at our map, I think your biggest question is, why are we using a dark theme for our map? Why do we not just follow the tradition and have a white paper and black ink mode like Google Map? Isn't that a more intuitive way of displaying information? Well, that's intuitive for art and science students, for whom writing essays on Google Doc is the most common assignment. But what do we do all day as ECE students? We code. And where do we write our code in? A dark-themed integrated development environment. It is counted that over 70% of software engineers code on dark-theme IDEs. Similarly, a significant portion of ECE students also prefer dark theme over light theme. Therefore, we see this combination of colors so often that it has become part of our life and we begin to identify with it. But is dark mode actually beneficial? The answer is yes. This is because dark or black color isn't as demanding for our eyes as white or pale color, so that after a long time of staring at the screen, like what ECE students do all day, the transition into natural light will be easier if you are using a dark mode than if you are using a bright mode. Given the reasons I just talked about, we decided to use black for background, dark gray for minor roads as well as buildings. These two colors make up the majority of this map. In contrast, bright yellow is used to highlight highways, which can help people easily orientate themselves when they are looking at the map.
As engineers, we often have to deal with both the big picture and minutiae of things. In order to bring this over to your everyday life, O has the ability to provide both overall displays of an entire map and detailed views of specific sections depending on your needs and wants. We will take a look at how the zoom level affects the display of various streets on the map, as well as the corresponding names for each one. Following that, we will discover how the features on the map are drawn to optimize the aesthetics of the map for the user. What we have before us is the most zoomed out view of the map. The map of Toronto is featured in this specific display. We can see that only the prominent highways, shown in bold yellow lines, are displayed on the map. Similarly, only features that are of a significant size are displayed, such as Lake Ontario. This is done to avoid any clutter that might occur if lesser streets and features were to be displayed at this zoom level as well. The additional information will not be of much use to the general user, since this zoom level is best used for a general layout of the city only. At this zoom level, major streets are visible alongside the highways that we saw in the previous slide. If we look closely at the yellow and gray lines, we will notice that the width of these two general types of roads are different. This is to convey the various stages of importance for the road alongside the different color schemes that are used in the map. For example, distinguishing between the highways shown in the wide yellow lines with the local streets that are in thinner gray lines. We can also notice that more features, such as rivers and green spaces, are more noticeable in the map display. That's because this level provides the user with general information about an area of the map that they're interested in, but still cannot show detailed specifics of a feature. This picture shows the most zoomed in level of the map. At this level, all streets, including minor streets, are visible. Moreover, street names also appear at regular intervals, oriented along the length of its corresponding street. Features such as individual buildings and landmarks are also displayed in their respective locations on the map. This level goes into the minute details of a small section of the map that the user might be interested in. For our main user group, the engineering students, this level will be useful in helping to find specific locations such as lecture halls, nearby food places, and other daily utilities that they might require. We decided to implement a minimum zoom level so that the user does not zoom in to such a point that the scale will not be able to display anything of significance any longer.
Points of interest. As an ECE student, I find that my typical day involves a lot of time in libraries and going to get food. I typically spend about 1 hour commuting and about 4 hours at the library. And at least once a week, I make a stop at the grocery store to get food for the following week. Thus, we have narrowed down the 3 essential activities of ECE students: commuting, studying, and eating. Understanding this enables us to make the map more practical and simple. Since 25% of students live 20 kilometers from campus and the St. George campus is served by 2 subway lines, we integrated this point of interest into our map. In addition, at U of T, 33.7% are international students. For engineering students not familiar with Toronto, they are more susceptible to becoming lost or unsure of their location when traveling around. Having subway lines are a good point of reference when traveling. We display grocery stores and libraries, easily viewable for your convenience. Libraries are located conveniently on campus for students to study at between or after class, making them an important part of daily life at U of T. Lastly, to touch on, we separate the data into layers to show only what is necessary on the map. Lastly, we separate our data into layers so that the user can display what information they want. To reiterate, O aims to be simple and practical for ECE student life. Our focus, first one being color. We chose a dark color scheme to complement the work style of an ECE student. We talked about zoom levels and the effect they have on our audience, and points of interest, only including what an ECE student needs in their typical daily life. Thank you. Do you have any questions?